discussion. And let me share my screen. Hope you are able to see my screen.
Yep.
So I'm taking the VM, the same VM last time we discussed. I'm starting this. So last time we spoke about disk and size and remaining options. We will be talking. Run command also we discussed last time. Today let's talk about insights, metrics, and serial console. Okay. So insights basically, if you go to monitoring section here, right? So basically, it will tell you the basic metrics. What is the CPU in average utilization, network, disk related activities. Okay, you can select the time range in last 1 hour, 6 hours, or last 30 days. This is the maximum. But in case if you wanted to get more details of each and every metrics of VM performance, right? So you can just click on see all metrics. It will take you to the metrics section here. Here you have multiple options. Let's say you wanted to check the data disk IOPS, how much it is consumed, right? You can just select this. So you can specify last 24 hours. You can specify local time. Maybe you can specify the custom date as well. Okay. So it will tell you how is the metrics. Right now, we don't have any data disk attached to this VM, I believe. So that's why we don't see anything. Even if you see, it is at 0% because we have not utilized anything. So you can also look for the OS disk. So OS disk throughput you should be able to see consumed percentage. Yeah, so even in the last 24 hours, it is also like very less. It's not much utilized. Whenever you see a performance issues, you can always come to this blade and start filtering with the required account counters to see how it is going on, right? You can also click on insights. Insights basically will give you more details about metrics. It's not only showing read write operation, it will show you more network related activities as well. Right now it is not enabled. We'll enable it maybe in few minutes. um, because we before we enable this we need to talk about monitoring session. We will come back to this. So diagnostic settings, basically if you wanted to check the performance metrics, like in terms of do you see any recommendation? Do you see any issues with respect to disk IO length, or do you see any misconfigurations in the storage? And so these kind of details it will give you. You can just select this performance counters and enable it. When you save this, right, it is going to enable these performance counters and get you the data. So we'll also talk about this while we're talking about the monitoring. Going to this one, resource health, I think you guys already aware of it. We discussed last time. It will tell you what is the VM status. You see there are like few health events. If you expand this, you can see customer initiated event, which means that I've shut down the server from the OS level, and there is an event generated here. You can see start by user process. And if I expand this one as well, you can see. So in case if there is any outage from Microsoft, if your VM is impacted, you can see such events here, and your VM health status will change to the unknown or unhealthy. Okay. Boot diagnostics will tell you, what is the current state of your VM. Is it stuck at a boot stage, or is it stuck at any other stage, right? So is it in a booting stage, or updating the computer? So you can see the status. Most of the times, whenever you're not able to RDP, you can come to this blade and check the status. Performance diagnostics, this again install the perf counters, performance insights. So this will again tell you the best practices in terms of storage, network, and VM. It will have more detailed information about how the disk is reading, how disk is writing. Is there an issue with the disk activity? So it will give you more detailed information. You can run this directly from Azure portal, or you can also run this from the within the VM as well. You need to download the perf insights and run command to generate the performance counters. It will generate the report. The report contains the same metrics what you see under the diagnostic settings. It will tell you CPU, memory, disk, and network. It will have more details in terms of those you know resources. So reset password. If you forget the reset password of your local user account, you can just come here and put your username and password. It is not always the same username. You can give the new username and password. It is going to create a local user account in your VM. So reset configuration, like it's going to reset the VM configuration. So if you are not able to RDP, if you wanted to reset the local security settings, you can just use this reset configuration only option. Okay. So redeploy and reapply, these two things are really helpful. Redeploy, if your VM is not accessible, if your VM is having some problem, uh, it could be because of the underlying node is not providing enough resources. When you redeploy the VM, this VM will move to another node in the data center. Okay. So sometimes you will see Microsoft also send you alert saying that, the VM where the node where your VM is running is going to, be in trouble. Let's say that it is going to be crashed. So for such scenarios, you will get alert. They will recommend you to redeploy the VM. So you need to get a downtime from your customer and go for the redeploy. When you do a redeploy, your VM is going to be rebooted and move to the another node in the backend. So reapply will help you in getting your VM provisioning status to healthy. So every virtual machine has a status. The status will actually send the status will be communicated to the backend node in the data center. If the status is not good, the status could be, let's say that provisioning status failed or not healthy. So or updating. So if you see any one of such status, you need to go with the reappliance. When you do a reappliance, so VM is going to get repaired automatically, and it is going to bring the status healthy. So if the provisioning status is not healthy, right, you will see a lot of issues in terms of backups or in terms of any Azure native components that gets failed. Serial console is something is very interesting. So um, if you're not able to log into the VM, if you're not able to RDP to the VM, right, where you are maybe specific few services are not starting, or maybe some few services stuck somewhere. Maybe you need to enable a component. Let's say one of your NIC is disabled. You wanted to re-enable the NIC inside the OS, right? So this will give you a command prompt window. You will be able to get inside the VM through command prompt and perform certain operations. So to do that, you need to type tab and escape, press tab escape and press enter. Okay, let me type CMD again. It's going to create a channel. Again, I'm pressing tab and escape. Just yeah, it has come. So I'm going to provide the username, Azure user. Domain is nothing. Password, I'm giving the generic password that we used. Now I'm inside the virtual machine command prompt. I can run the PowerShell commands. I can run the command prompt. Let's say I wanted to get services, get hyphen service. Okay, it's not a PowerShell command, right? Just type PowerShell. Yeah, it was a PowerShell command, cannot be run in the command prompt. So now I'm running the the window has changed to PowerShell. You see, it says a PS. Earlier, it is just a command prompt. Now, if I run the same command, let's say get hyphen service, it is going to give me all the services that are running, right? You can see the services. You can just do a control A and copy and check what other services are running. If you see the required service is not running, you can just restart them using the restart command. Restart hyphen service, and you need to provide the service name, etc. Okay, this will help you in most of the troubleshooting phases. Let's say you wanted to boot the VM in a uh, BIOS mode, right? So you can just restart the VM from here and press F12 or F8. It will get into the boot menu where you can run the VM in a safe mode or safe mode with the command prompt. You can perform various troubleshooting uh, with this serial console. Okay, any questions so far?
No, bro, it's all right.
Okay, so let me explain you the monitoring part today. Okay, so you have multiple VMs in Azure, right? How do you centrally monitor them? It's not it's not easy to go to each and every VM and check what is the CPU utilization here, right? And what is the memory utilization. We need to have a central monitoring in place. Most of the organizations uses Zabbix or Splunk or Nagios or different tools they use to monitor the infrastructure. When it comes to the Azure, Azure provides a native services called Log Analytics Workspace. So Log Analytics Workspace. Okay. So using Log Analytics Workspace, you can feed the data, or else I would say store the metrics. Okay. Or when I say metrics, it could be a CPU metrics, it could be a memory or disk related or network related metrics. Okay. Once you store this data here, let's say the data is available here. So you have something called queries, Kusto query language, Kusto query language. In short, we say KQL. Okay. Use these queries to fetch the data from LAW. When I say LAW, it is Log Analytics Workspace. Okay, and create a dashboard. Okay, create a dashboard using these queries so that you don't need to write queries every time. Just go to the dashboard. You can create some filters. Let's say I wanted to get metrics for a specific VM. You just select the VM. The output should automatically gives you as like CPU how much is the utilization, memory how much is the utilization. Such kind of metrics it should automatically provide you, right? So that is the purpose of this log analytics workspace and Kusto queries. Okay. So now the question is, how do you store the metrics into this for each VM, right? Let's say you have VM1, VM2, right? Just taking two VMs as an example, VM1 and VM2. What you are going to do is you are going to connect these two VMs to the workspace, to this log analytics workspace. How you create how you integrate them? So when you go to log analytics workspace, you have an option called virtual machines. If you click on virtual machines, you will see the list of VMs in your subscription. You just need to select the VM and click on connect. When you click on connect, log analytics workspace is going to install a agent or extension in your virtual machine. That agent is called MMA agent, Microsoft Monitoring Agent, or Microsoft Monitoring Extension. Okay, so this will get installed. Okay, this agent responsibility is to collect the metrics that are required. So it is up to you, it is in your control what kind of metrics you wanted to monitor. Let's say I wanted to monitor CPU, memory, disk, right? You first let your workspace know you go ahead and collect these metrics. Okay, when you configure it here, Loganetics workspace is going to instruct this Microsoft monitoring agent, and agent is going to collect such metrics and send it to your workspace. Okay, it is send it to your workspace, and you can also set the threshold how frequently you wanted to collect the metrics. 60 minutes, 60 seconds, or 120 seconds, or 3 minutes, or 5 minutes. It's up to us. Okay, so we are going to configure. When you configure it, agent is going to send the data. The data is available here. You can use Kusto queries or create dashboards to fetch the monitoring information. So you don't need to go to each and every VM to monitor. You just go to one workbook that you're creating in the workspace, log analytics workspace. From there you can monitor everything. Okay. So I mean, what is your role here, right? See, your role is to create a workspace and configure the metrics and making sure that your VMs are connected, right? And you see the data is available in the workspace. But how do you ensure that if there is an issue with this agent, monitoring agent? If this agent is not healthy, obviously the data cannot be sent to workspace. And you assume that, okay, I already configured it. And whenever there's a performance issue comes for your application, right? Okay, you go to the workspace and try to get the data, but you don't see the data because the agent is not healthy from couple of days. You need to get some kind of monitoring in place for your agent as well, right? So for that, what happens is this agent which is sitting in the VM, right, it's going to send a heartbeat to your Logalytics workspace every 1 minute, saying I am still alive, I don't have any problem, right? So it's going to send a heartbeat to your workspace, and it is your responsibilities to monitor that heartbeat. You can create a dashboard here to monitor your agent health status, so that your team can go to the dashboard and see, okay, whether the agents are healthy or not. If the agents are unhealthy, then they can go ahead and start troubleshooting it. Otherwise, you can also create a ticket with your ticketing tool, automatic ticket with your ticketing tool, right? So it can trigger a case to your queue, and your team start working on it, just in case if you're not able to monitor the dashboard, right? So that's another option. We'll also check how to enable auto ticketing with your ticketing tool, right? We may not be able to implement the ticketing because we don't have a ticketing system in our environment, right? But I'll try to simulate the same. Okay, instead of creating a ticket, we'll talk about alerts, right? We'll learn more about it as well. Okay, so just to add one more point here, not only creating dashboard, you are going to create alert. Okay, you can create alerts as well with the data that is available in your workspace. Okay, is it clear, the at least the concept? Before
And
we see in the real time, I wanted to check.
use, KQL itself, or use, say, function apps or logic apps.
Function apps you can use, logic apps you can use. The one I told I'm going to send you alerts, right? I'm not going to use the default alert mechanism. Alerts we already discussed through alerts, default alerts, right? I'm going to explain you how you can use logic app to trigger a email alerts. So the email alert can be
Mm-hmm.
triggered to your Salesforce ticketing system. So as soon as the Salesforce receives a email from logic app, it's going to create a ticket. So that last piece we will not have it, but at least we'll send an email to somebody, right, through logic apps.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to integrate this workspace with the logic app. Okay, I'm going to create a logic app, and I'm going to show you how we can use the logic app to fetch the data from workspace, and how we can use the queries from the workspace, design few logics, and send an email to your end user, to our administrators, to start troubleshooting the issues. Okay, clear?
Sure.
All right. So now, so far we spoke about monitoring, right? So this Loganalytics workspace also has I mean, it's the service that is consumed by many resources, right? It's not only the VM. You have a network, you have a storage, you have a load balancer, you have a backup, you have a replication. Every resource in Azure, almost of the all, are going to consume this, which means that they are going to send their diagnostics data to this workspace, and later we are going to use the Kusto query language to fetch the events or fetch the data, and use it whatever the way we want it. Okay, and so one of the feature is Azure Update Manager. Okay, one of the services called Azure Update Manager. Okay, this is basically used for patching your virtual machines. So whenever Microsoft introduced new patches, we are going to install the patches inside the VM. Some customers uses the default AD group policies, WSS servers, or maybe they use Blade Logic, BigFix. There are different third-party tools which can provide a patching solution, right, which has more capabilities. So Azure provides a native service called Azure Update Manager. Using the Azure Update Manager, you can install the patches on your virtual machines remotely, right? You don't need to go inside the VM to install or download the patches. You don't need to set up the infrastructure for managing the patches, or managing the patching tool. If you go for a big fix, or if you go for a blade logic, you need to have a server for the blade logic. You have to install the agents, you have to manage the entire infrastructure, you need to manage the network aspect as well. But here, update manager, it's a PaaS component that Microsoft provides. You don't need to manage any infrastructure. Okay, what you need to do is, okay, anyways, the agent sitting inside the VM, correct? So you can let your VM know along with these metrics, right? You also can collect the updates information. Okay, updates information also you collect. You how to instruct, how when do you, when you are going to instruct them is, you have to integrate this workspace with the update manager. When you integrate this workspace with the update manager, the workspace will have update solution enable. When you enable this, right, and you have to let your VMs to integrate with the update manager as well. So how it happens is, you are going to add your VMs to the update manager. You can set some configurations, like any VM that is created in your subscription and it has an integration this with this workspace, then automatically it can be registered automatically with the update manager. Which means that you have to register your workspace with the update manager, and your VM also should register with your update manager. Okay, to have the patches, right? So once you integrate your VM with the workspace, and the workspace is integrated with the update manager, and you have the setting configured in update manager saying any new VM that is getting created, that should automatically register, right? So VMs will automatically going to get registered this with this update manager. Now once it is registered with the update manager, the VM is registered with the update manager, MMA agent is going to collect the update related information, like um, how many updates are installed, how many pending updates, how many critical updates are pending, how many security updates are pending, right? How many optional updates are pending. It's going to collect all the information, and it is going to send it to your log analytics workspace. Okay, the data is going to be available in log analytics workspace. Again, once the data is here, you can write queries to fetch the data and create dashboards, etc. And once the data is available, your update manager also is going to consume, and it is going to display in its dashboard saying, okay, VM1, VM2, VM3 has zero security updates pending, and one critical update pending. I mean, whatever the updates pending, it's going to project in the dashboard here. Okay, kind of view. So once you see the data available here, if any one of the security or critical patches are more than zero, which means that server will show as a non-compliant. Okay, if any one of the security and critical updates are 00, it says compliant, which means that your servers are up to date patched. Okay, so this is the end-to-end workflow, but there is something else as well. You cannot directly integrate with the update manager, because there is no separate service called update manager. It is a feature of automation account. Okay, you have automation account, that is a service we have. In the automation account, you have couple of features. One of them is update manager. Okay, which means that you are not integrating with the workspace, indirectly you're integrating with your automation account. See, automation account has update manager feature, which will actually help in integrating and patching the Azure VMs. Now, once you have the automation account created and update manager feature is enabled and it has integration with the workspace. So what is next? You can actually create a schedules. Okay, schedule. When I say schedule, when do you want to patch your servers? In a month, what is the date you wanted to patch? Okay, once you create a schedule, you can add your VMs to the schedule. You can have selected VMs to one schedule and few of the VMs to another schedule. There are two types of schedules, one for Windows and one for Linux VMs. So in the Windows schedule, only Windows VMs will be there. In the Linux, only Linux VMs will be there. So in the schedule, you can specify the date and time when you wanted to patch the VMs and what kind of updates you wanted to install. Do you want to install only critical updates or only security updates, or you wanted to install all the updates? And you can also specify the maintenance window in say mom window, maintenance window, right? So this maintenance window, monthly maintenance window can be 120 minutes, or it can be 150 or 180 minutes. It's all depends on your environment and the approval what you got it. Okay, you can specify the mom window, and based on the mom window, the updates will be getting installed. So there are requirements, if there is a critical application, let's say especially on DB servers, right? So before the patching, they wanted to stop the DB services to avoid the data corruption. Because during the patching, what happens is the VM will be rebooted unexpectedly, right? So if your DB services are running, and if it is stopped automatically, so it might be corrupted. There are chances that your database also might be corrupted. So we need something, I mean, there should be some mechanism. So before patching, right? Before patching starts, right? You wanted to stop DB services. So after patching, again you have to start the DB services, right? So for this, we have something called pre and post script. Okay, uh, before the patching start, you can actually have a script which will actually stop your DB services, and post your patching. You can have the script ready that is going to start the DB services. Okay, this will be included within your maintenance window, and if you have the script ready, then you should it should be able to fit in. Okay, so we don't have DB services, and we don't have application services to stop and start. So there is one requirement I have seen. The VMs are stopped to reduce the cost. Okay, let's say one of the project is in hold for 1 or 2 months, right? For that project, we have around 30 to 40 VMs. For those 30 to 40 VMs will be in a shutdown status. But due to the security best practices, we need to patch the VMs, right? Even though they're in a stop status. If the VMs are in a stop status, your agent is not running, it cannot send the communication, right? So what we need to do is we need to start the VMs before the patching, okay? And stop the VMs after the patching, which means that whatever the VMs which are started before the patching, we need to stop them again to save the cost. So we can test that scenario in our patching schedule in our lab. Okay, in the next session, we are going to test that as well. Okay, what I wanted to say, these are the options you have with the update manager schedules. Okay, so is it clear now?
So,
So it's kind of a big topic. Maybe once we start creating, you will see the uh, whatever we discussed. You will be able to see them.
update manager is going to get the updates and these patching information from Microsoft, right?
Yeah, no, it's going to get from your VM itself. Your agent is going to send list of pending updates that are available, right? It's going to show you the compliance status, and you're going to
No,
add your
how would the agent know?
yeah. So agent is running inside the VM. Okay, inside the VM you have something called update agent. That's a Windows built-in component. Okay,
Hmm.
that
Hmm.
agent is basically going to fetch the updates from Microsoft and install it. Okay,
So
uh,
essentially, it's Microsoft who's providing the update information to the
right,
agent, right? The VM
right,
agent.
right. So basically, what I'm trying to say, if you go to your VM in your laptop, if you click on check for updates, it's going to tell you how many
Hmm.
updates are installed, how many are pending. Okay, that is
Okay.
built in by default. It will be available in your VM. That
Hmm.
updates information by default. It is sent to workspace. Okay,
Okay.
during the
That's for
patching,
that's for dashboarding to
yeah,
workspace.
it's going to send it to the workspace, and from there it is going to send to the your dashboard, update manager dashboard. Okay, or a view or a console. So during the patching, what happens is you are going to add your VM into the schedule, right? So what automation account or update manager does is it's going to talk to your VM, okay, remotely during the
Hmm.
patching window. Okay, it is going to push a script inside your VM That script is going to talk to your Windows update agent, which is a built-in Windows component, saying, boss, I got this list of updates that are pending. Okay, can you go ahead and check the latest update at Microsoft Catalog Service or update service or update, you know, updates. Get those pending updates to be installed. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
download them and install them. Once the installation is completed, this guy is going to send the data back to update management. And the same data again, it is as usual going to send it to the workspace saying, at this moment, post patching, right? At this moment, it is going to check, okay, there is some updates happened. There are few updates installed. So I'm going to send the latest update here. So the data is going there as well as from here as well. Okay. During the patching window, I'm saying. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But here, one more thing I missed to tell you. For automation account to talk to your VM and push a script, there is something called hybrid worker group agent, hybrid worker group, or hybrid worker, I would say, because we need to get inside the VM and perform something, right? It is like fully remote operation. You're not going to input your VM username and password. It's everything happen in the background. So that to happen, there is something called hybrid worker or worker agent. Okay, that agent is basically uh, has to be in a healthy status. There's no agent, it's just like a binary. Okay, that will be sit in your VM and sends a communication to the automation account. Okay, if that agent is not healthy, the patching will not even start. So there are two agents, don't get confused. Three agents, I would say. One is Microsoft monitoring agent, which will send update information to workspace. Okay, the other one is hybrid worker agent, which will start pushing the script to download the updates, pending updates, and install it. Okay. The other one is Windows Update Agent. That's a built-in Windows component. Whenever this hybrid worker agent saying that, okay, you go ahead and download the updates, that agent is going to download the updates and install it. Clear?
Okay. Update agent by itself doesn't bring those updates, right?
See, if it
Until it
is,
gets the instruction.
we will disable the uh, automatic updates inside the VM. If the automatic updates installed, right, server will be rebooted whenever there are updates installed. It's a problem,
And
right?
essentially, the update manager's job is to schedule those, updates, those patches, right?
Right, right, correct.
Okay. So we can accordingly plan and kind of communicate when the VM is going to be shut down and when it's going to be started, right? So
Yeah,
things can be better planned.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so let's do one thing. Let's go ahead and create a workspace. I'm going to create a workspace for today, and I'm going to integrate this VM to workspace. We are going to configure the metrics as well. Then we'll create automation account and integrate the update management. So before going that, right, let's check one more thing. Log analytics workspace and automation account, because there are few paid regions we cannot create a there's a combination. Okay, if your workspace in east us location, your automation account should be in east us. If it is east us 2, it should be east us, then only you'll be able to integrate. So let's create a workspace in east us 2 first and automation account in east us. To do that, let me go here, log analytics workspace, create a log analytics workspace. I can choose any one of the resource group. LAW monitoring, which location I'm choosing, east to west 2. Okay, create this and let it complete. I will also create automation account now. So search for the automation account. Click on new here. LAWA. Okay, it's available. I can choose any one of the location and it should be east US. Okay, then create this. And let us check the counters. Azure log analytics space perf counters. Okay, this one. So data collection, you see there are like different performance counters. You can enable it. Yeah, so these are the counters available for logical disk and for the memory, for the processors and all these things. Okay, so I'm going to check the log analytics workspace and let's configure the counters first. Let me go to agent management or agent configuration. You see Windows performance counters. Click on add recommended counters. It's going to provide the counters that are required. Okay, like it will tell you the CPU utilization, it will tell you the memory utilization. You can also have counters that are required here, right? So it's up to us which one you wanted to monitor. And we should be very careful in choosing the counters because it again going to cost you because you're going to have feed more data. Let me see if I can add something else here. Process uptime system. I need to choose system uptime. Okay. Let me type here system or uptime. No, system. Have to come down here. System process, system uptime is here, right? Apply these. So if I add any Windows machine, that Windows machine is going to provide these metrics to workspace. So to add the machines, I'm going to the virtual machine section here and I have all these machines. Let me start all the machines for now and I'll connect all the machines here. I'll start all the machines. Otherwise, I'll just start the machines which are in East US.
Both East, US and US too. Kamal?
Yeah, I'm adding only East US location. Few VMs are there, right? And not all the VMs, only few I'm adding.
No, both US and US too, right? East US and US
Yeah,
too.
yes, yes, correct. Yeah, we can add any VMs, any region we can add. There is no restrictions in terms of, you see, right? All the VMs in this region is reflected here.
Right, but then we had the mapping between law and automation account, right? So
Yeah, even there also, right? Will not see any challenges when you're patching it. It will fetch based on the subscription actually. So you have VMs in one subscription, you have a workspace in one subscription, and right. So you can have VMs of different subscriptions as well. So this doesn't have any restrictions, but just to save the cost for us, right? I just added only few for now. Um, yeah, so I'll just refresh here, or maybe I'll just refresh this page, and I'll go with the ones which are in East-West 2. Click on connect. And east to west, I think it's not connected. Let me see. Not started. I'm just connecting all the machines which are in east to west location. Okay. Fail to enable because the VM is in a stop status. I think that is the reason. Let's see. One, two, three missions. Nazir and Winton and Web. Okay. Winton connect and Web VM. I'm connecting it. So if I go to this VM, right, so it's going to install extension here. It's installing. It's in a transition state, right? Because it's still connecting state. So once the installation is successful, you will see this agent status success succeeded. Same thing with the other missions. If I go to Web VM, when this also just started, even Win10 VM also will have the same. So let's monitor this. So while this is happening, let's go to our automation account. And you see there are multiple features of automation account: configuration management, update management, and process automation. So we will use update management and process automation for automating the pre and post scripts. Let me go to update management. It's going to fetch the workspace. This is a workspace, and I'm going to enable this. So now we are going to have this, everything is configured. We have VMs connected to the workspace, and we also configure the metrics, and the workspace is going to connect to the update management now. Okay, once we enable this, I think we can disconnect because it will take time to fetch the metrics. Let's see.
But we'll have to add VMs to automation account as well, right?
Yeah. So we'll modify the setting. Once this is enabled, right? We'll add a setting. For now, we'll add manually, and we'll also change the setting. Any new VM that is created and it has an integration with your workspace should automatically be added. Clear? And we
Mm.
can also create some policies where it automatically enable it. So there are
Okay.
like
So
few
you're saying the
options.
moment we create, the moment we kind of link law
Uh,
and automation account, the VMs are also connected to automation account.
Yeah, what I'm trying to say, the moment we configure the setting which I'm talking, right? After
Mm.
the configuration, any new VM that is created, if it has an integration with the workspace, it should also be part of the update management automatically
Okay, by default.
by default.
Speaking of the other connection in your the diagram that you
Hmm.
prepared, right?
Hmm.
So when the VMs would also need to be kind of um,
Yeah,
connected to update manager
right.
automation account.
So that has to be there if you do not set that manually. If you do not say configure that setting, right? So they have to configure manually. Otherwise, automatically it will be connected. I'll show you that right away. So if I go to update management, and this is what I was talking, you will see the list of missions here and compliance status and critical updates, security updates, whatever missing, right? So whatever the data that MMA agent is going to send to your workspace and the data is going to fetch to update manager and it will display in the console. How many security updates are missing? How many critical updates are missing? Such information. Okay. Now you click on manage machines and use this option. Enable all available machines. There are three machines so it's showing up, right? And these three machines are connected to the workspace. You see here there are multiple machines, seven machines, but out of seven machines, only three machines it is showing up, right? So the reason why it is showing up because these machines are connected to the workspace. Okay. If I select this, enable for all machines and future machines, what it is going to do is any VMs that are created and have an integration with the workspace, they are going to have this feature enabled automatically, update management feature for those VMs. It's clear, right, for you?
Yep.
Okay, let me enable this. Okay, uh, it is just trying to add. Let me check if this extension is successfully installed. It is successful, right? If I go to my log analytics workspace, not the logs, if I go to virtual machines, you see it is saying this workspace, which means it is created or in and integrated successfully. Okay, these three machines. And now I can go to the log section to fetch the data. I'm referring to this part now. Okay, the data is going to get stored here. I'm going to use these queries to fetch it. So if I go here, maybe it may not enable right away. Let's try to see if it is. Yeah, it takes some time because logs are not enabled. No data is enabled. But if you go to VM, you also have a log section. Logs. And here you see heartbeat and performance counters. If I say heartbeat, it's going to tell you whether the agent is working fine or not. It's working fine and it is started. Okay, let me change to the local time. Started from 9:47, 9:46, 2 3 minutes ago. Okay, and if I say perf counters, I'm fetching the data, guys. Okay, it's giving all the metrics that we have it. We'll talk more in detail in next session about what are these counters and how we can, create dashboard, etc. And updates are not available yet here. There will be one more section added once this integration with the automation account is successful for these VMs. There will be one more section called update. Here I'm going to each and every VM and running this, but now I should be able to get same thing from here. But yeah, maybe it will take some time to fetch it. Okay, so let me go to automation account and see if that is the setting is configured or not. It's configured. So it will display slowly because it just started pushing the data, right? It will take time. Once it is available, you will see the number of missions are three, and out of them, like how many are compliant, non-compliant, you will see the data presented here. Okay. Later we can create a schedule, and in the schedule, whatever I explained, pre and post script, we'll talk about this. Okay. Any questions so far?
This is something we'll have to manage, right? Right.
Yes, yes.
I thought
Admins.
since you are getting this VM sort of as a machine, right? So all such patches and security updates would be taken care by Microsoft, right?
It's not actually a recommended method, right? If you, it's a infra components, not the PaaS component. If it is a PaaS components like database or app services, the Microsoft will take care of underlying host. It's an infra component. It is in your control, and you wanted to take care of this, right? You wanted to decide whether what kind of updates you want to install. You wanted to validate them. You wanted to install a test environment first, then go for the production. So you have more control, and instead of you're going with the different third-party tools like BigFix and all, this is one of the best feature.
Okay. And what if we have softwares? I mean, on the VM, you have softwares other than, Microsoft.
Uh,
Let's
yeah.
say your third party softwares on VM,
hmm
right?
hmm
How would you get the sort of updates for them?
If it is software update, let's say any third party application, I think I am not aware of it, but yeah, if that application needs update, I think you need to update that application itself. I'm not sure how that works.
Sure.
Maybe you can give me some example in a specific application.
Um, so let's say some of these VMs are provisioned for business users, right?
hmm
They access these VMs perform certain, let's say, there's some data and they perform some analytics, right? So
Okay, I got it.
for them to perform analytics, they bring their own softwares, right?
Yeah,
And that is something we kind of installed on the VMs.
right. I agree. So for such kind of application upgrades, right, you need to plan downtime and you have to upgrade manually. So it's only for OS updates is what we are talking. Operating system updates. All right.
Mhm.
Thank you.